Well, good evening for those of you that are here live or watching this as a video. Welcome. So, what we're going to do tonight, I'm going to talk about my spontaneous awakening and some of the gifts and challenges that went along with that. And I'll save some time for for a little Q&A. So if you guys have questions, I'll definitely save time for that at the end. And that's basically what we're doing. So obviously, if you're watching as a video, we can't do the live questions, but in any event, that's the agenda. I know that a lot of people are having their awakenings now, and some people are struggling through it. So I'm hoping that my story, and it started in 1978, will be helpful for you or for people that are going through an awakening cycle or an awakening process right now. And a lot of people are. We're in a great awakening. So I will just give a couple minutes for the live people to get on. I don't think we're going to have a big live crew today because we were going to do an upload. Heather, that does the editing, she's been ill, so she couldn't finish the upload. So this is a very spontaneous decision here. So I know I see a couple people are in. We have Suzette and Susan, so welcome. So a couple of people are coming in. So like I said, I'll wait just a minute or two, drink some water, and kind of get set that way. So anyway, I hope that everybody's doing well. And this may be one of these things that's kind of a blessing in disguise, or taking lemons and making lemonade, because I think that I'm supposed to share this information today. Somebody needs to hear it, maybe more than one person. So a couple other people came. So hold on, I need to see. Yvonne, welcome. Colleen, and I don't know if I can read that. Jay Lings and Molly Unlimited. Wow, welcome. So, and hi, Kelly. So if I'm missing anybody, hello, Mr. Floyd. All right, people are finding us. People are finding us. Very, very good. So yeah, I'm going to talk about different steps. I'll try to be brief. I don't know if you would call this a gift or what, but I have a knack of making a short story long, so I'll try to keep that down. And hi Claire, hi Roseanne. All right, so slowly but surely, people are finding me. So basically, maybe I'll just start out as people are continuing to find us. Hi Brianna. Yes, people are starting to find us. Hi Huda. Welcome. Uh, let's talk about starting this YouTube channel is a story in itself. And I really started this channel for awakening, to help people with their awakening processes. Now, New Year's Eve 2019, I do ceremonies a lot, but always on New Year's Eve. So Spirit came through and told me to start a YouTube channel. I know some of you have heard this story already. Maybe a lot of you have. I don't know. It's a little bit of filler before the people come in, um, but they told me to start a YouTube channel. And I told Spirit, you're crazy. Have you seen me on camera lately? Because just to back up a little bit, I've had a lot of anxieties and social anxieties through the years, and the worst is being on camera. You put a camera on me. I developed enough that I could do mediumship in public. Like I could be in front of 100 people, not knowing what I was going to say, and be a little bit nervous, but be fine. Put a camera in front of me, forget it. So anyway, Spirit just said, there's going to be a need for this. They wanted me to start this channel. It's been probably more for my own growth than anything, but I know a lot of people have been finding us and have been benefiting from the content and the stuff that we share and everything. So anyway, I just took the challenge. I was like, all right, you want me to start a YouTube channel? So I researched YouTube. I reprogrammed my mind. So I made sleep programs and did affirmations, started to practice, did a lot of mental rehearsal, did all the things to reprogram my mind. And I launched the channel in June. So it was about 6 months after. So I started to do Instagram videos. The first ones were awful, and I wanted to cry just seeing we're our own worst critics. So just seeing every little nervous habit under the sun, just being like, I hate this. I don't want to do this. Are you crazy? all these thoughts were going in my mind. But in any event, long story short is, my first 1 minute video took 2 hours to make it. I kept redoing it and I got better. So anyway, long story short. So, okay. I think, we've given a lot of people enough time to come in. So let me jump into this. And like I said, we're going to, if anybody has questions, I'll definitely answer some questions tonight also. So we'll kind of make this sort of a community chat, a community hangout. So it was 1978. And basically I was in college in Oneonta, city of the hills, and in whatever native tongue, Oneonta is in. And riding my bike on Route 7, going out of town. I-88 was still under construction then, so that's how far back we're going. I-88 was under construction. I'm riding my bike along, and then all of a sudden I get this flash of light and this energy, and then a second flash of light. And then I mean, I called it an awakening, but now, how many years later, 45 years later, oh my God, time flies. However much longer later, I realized this was really just the first shaking. And the awakening, by the way, is just the beginning of the journey, or the beginning of a new journey. It's not the final destination. So people, think of spiritual awakening as the holy grail, but to me, it just means you've developed enough awareness that you can actually start to learn about spirituality and start to take the very steps needed in order to approach sadhana or enlightenment, which is the ultimate goal of spiritual awakening. So anyhow, so I'm riding my bike. I just get a flash of light. I not fell off. I don't even remember the details. And I actually asked my friend Paul Salvador, if he ever comes on, he can fill in the details. Like, what really happened that night? Because I've been hanging out with him. And then I came back and he's like, what happened to you? You look like you saw a ghost, basically. But anyways, I just looked around and I just said to myself, everything that I thought I knew is a complete lie. And now I need to learn the truth. And that was like the shaking. It was sort of like just a brief glimpse of energy and spirit, and just seeing that how everything's an illusion. And I know I was like in tears, and I think I shouted out, everything I've learned up until now is a complete lie. Now I need to learn the truth. So anyways, I'd been studying martial arts for a few months. I started to get really, really serious about it. And certain gifts started to develop. Like I started to see auras and colors. One very peculiar thing that kept happening over and over again was that on any given morning, like somebody that I hadn't seen maybe for a month or two pops up in my mind, and every single time I ran into that person that day. And then especially like after the awakening, maybe the next month or two, like I was reading minds. Like in my mind, I could hear what people were thinking, and I was looking at people, and I was seeing two faces on them, literally. Like there was a mask, and then there was their real face, and it freaked me right the heck out, I have to say. I'm like, oh, what is this? What's happening to me, or whatever. I was also diving into hallucinogens also, which probably in hindsight may not have been the best time to be, dabbling with LSD and mushrooms and stuff like that. But, I wanted to learn and everything. And I kind of set the intention. So, I had already done it prior to the awakening, and then, a couple of times prior to that. And then I started to do it, more and more. But anyway, the drugs, that part, to me, that's just not that relevant. I mean, a lot of kids were doing acid. This was Oneonta, New York. 1,000 were doing acid. Only one had a spontaneous awakening, during that time that I know about. Maybe somebody else that I don't know about. But anyhow, and I was getting more into my martial arts. I was getting really serious about that. I was starting to do yoga. I was starting to meditate. I was reading Ram Dass. I was reading Carlos Castaneda. I was reading about Native American. I really wanted to learn and discover. But these gifts, I was like seeing two faces. It was freaking me out. I was hearing people, my mind. I knew what they were thinking. It was really disheartening just to see that people were just not what they appeared to be. I guess I was kind of innocent until then. I don't know. And there were other, with the weather, like if I could relax, I realized if I could relax and connect with the elements, the winds would blow, clouds will build up, and people witness that. And my second wife used to tell me to stop raising the tempest when we went out hiking. But anyway, that's a whole other story for another live stream. So let me see. I have a few notes here just to get I need notes. So there were other gifts that were developing. Psychic abilities, energy. I was able to send energy to people to help them heal. I just knew to do it. It's just like and I'm starting to tap into a spirit guide that I called John. And I think in hindsight, it's John. That was John from Revelations, John, which would actually fit the energy very well. But the flip side of this is I became increasingly detached. People freaked me out. In order to go out and have a good time with my buddies, it required me to drink alcohol. And I never liked drinking alcohol. That was never my thing. But to go out and to not feel people's energies on me, and to not feel like the weight of people's eyes and their energies, and people, I just found people to be extremely chaotic energetically. It was hard to hang out with people. And it's like they say one thing, mean another. It was just like so complicated. I just couldn't do it. And I wound up spending more time in my room. I wound up going into the woods more. I became increasingly withdrawn from people. My grades that were basically close to 4.0 really started to plummet after that, unfortunately. I still graduated, but barely, I'll put it that way. I had no head for studying. I really wanted nothing to do with this world, to be quite honest. But my gifts were increasing, and I could do like Tai Chi, like raise energy, and like wild animals would come up to me and sniff me, like foxes and deer. And one time I was doing Hare Krishna in the field for about an hour, and I looked up and there was like a column of birds right above my head as far as I could see, but only in a very narrow column circling. Like amazing things were happening. But again, there's a lot of negativity. And then one day I was out in the wood. I think I ate a bunch of acid also. I was out in the woods, and then John comes through. When the spirit guide comes through, everything gets really quiet. The animals stop, the birds stop. And it's always a very quick message, usually no more than 3 words, and sometimes with a little parting thought, oh, you humans are so complicated. Also for these star seeds and the people that just thought about maybe I'm getting these gifts back. Yeah, there were extraterrestrials, there were things in the sky, all that was going on also. But this guy came in and said, you've gone as far as you can go. Now you've got to go back into the world. And those words shook me to the core. Understand, I was in this place of elation, like I could change my breath and change nature. These were, one time I went into I decided I wanted to play pinball. I went and I connected with the machine, and 3 hours later I had I think 19 free games, about 100 free balls, and I flipped the machine over I don't know how many times, and the bar was closed. I just walked out basically. So all this stuff was happening. But so after that, that's when the descent happened. Basically, I wound up serving some time in jail for a charge that I never should have had. Only a few months, but that happened. I wound up having to take really crappy jobs. I had no money. I was homeless for a little while, I have to say. Luckily, I had friends and people that could put me up. So I wasn't like sleeping on the street every night, but I went through a brief period, but it was homelessness. And finally, I made it down to Florida and started to study with my martial arts teacher. So that basically happened. But and it was hard, and I feel like I'm still in the process of regaining some of these gifts that I had after the awakening. Some of them I've redeveloped. I've developed new gifts also, and better and stronger gifts. But I still feel like I'm now that I grounded, now that I experience things. Because the idea was I was really in my upper chakras, and my lower chakras were crap, basically. And I was very ungrounded. I mean, I had this reputation of being like one of the spaciest dudes on campus, basically. So, all that stuff is happening. So anyways, so, I got into martial arts, and so the next phase, I met up later on with a friend of mine in Oklahoma, in Norman, Oklahoma, at the university, and I met a psychic named Amberella. She taught me how the tarot, and I started to develop the ability to do readings. So that was one phase. I learned a lot about crystals. I sat in my first development circle, and basically she told me there were 19 guides that were actively working with me, and she was telling me something about my past life that really resonated, or my recent past life. So anyway, I met her. Later on, I moved to New York City, and I learned a little bit about the craft. So I learned a little bit about Wicca. Part of the reason was when I was living with my martial arts teacher, he was a kind of a Jekyll and Hyde kind of a dude, I have to say. So when he was in his good self, he was amazing, spiritual, loving, just what you wanted to be around. But there was some dark energy he never really could shake. Um, so I think what happened is that he was involved in the occult himself, and then he brought some bad energy on. And to make a long story short, I was living down there about 6 years. For at least 4, if not longer, those years, we were under a lot of psychic attack. And once I got back to New York City, I went in. I actually moved back with my parents, in my 30s. So yeah, there were other things that went on, mostly because of my dad's health. But anyway, my younger brother Tony was working at Enchantments in New York City. There was a very well known occult shop. He got me a job there, and I started to learn about Wicca and stuff like that. And it was good training. I mean, I never was that into doing spells. That just didn't sit well with me and sit right. I mean, one time, in the beginning, I did I tried to do a love spell because I had a crush on somebody, and it totally backfired. And I learned my lesson right off the bat, not to manipulate people's energies. But I did learn how to access energies, which I now use to do healings and distant healing. It was useful training. I trained in a lot of other things. I studied a bit of Native American shamanism, lot of different esoteric things. So and about energy healing then. So that was another awakening that I had then, developing these gifts and understanding my roots, Native American roots, European roots, all that kind of stuff. So the next big awakening was around 2013 when I had a Kundalini awakening, and another thing that was going on, because and some of you may relate to this, because when we have an awakening, our energies increase. And I was doing a lot of meditation, and I had a lot of energy blocks, particularly around my solar plexus. Like I had issues with a lot of fear, not speaking up, being very sensitive to people and energy, sensitive to criticism, all that kind of stuff. And this was even before that, but I had to actually stop meditating for a while, because every time I would, the pain in my solar plexus would just build and build, and it would get so excruciating, that I had to stop. So eventually I started to work the energy through my solar plexus, started to work through some of these blockages, and started to really get into my shadow work. But then I had this Kundalini experience and awakening, and I was not really sleeping. On a good night, I might have gone 3 hours, but usually it was 2 hours or under a night. And I was doing Kundalini Yoga, and I stopped my yoga practice for a full year. I just had to really get used to this energy. But even in the initial awakening, the Kundalini activated, because I would feel what felt like earthquakes. And I would ask people, did you feel that? Did you feel that earthquake? They'd look at me and ask me what I was smoking, and say, I want whatever you're smoking. I want that. But I realized that the shaking was in the base of my spine, that it just felt like the earth was shaking. It was coming from the base of my spine. So anyways, again, I was doing a lot of meditation work, a lot of grounding. That was the key, developing those lower chakras. And then I went back to Kundalini. I mean, I still don't sleep a lot. I always feel energy. So in any event, the next big awakening was healing myself. And I'm going to do a separate video on that, a little later on, either as a live video or as an upload. But I had since a baby chronic severe eczema and other autoimmune conditions. And a lot of you know the story, but not everybody. But I had it all my life, so bad that I had to take topical steroids, if not internal steroids, pretty much every day for almost 60 years of my life. I had a little little bits of remissions in my 20s. So I went through maybe a month or two here and there where I was better, but come age 30, I got slammed with it again, and I had to go on a steroid that was so powerful that said right on the label, failure to use this medication exactly as it's prescribed can result in death, basically. So that was um so so that was you know anyway that was interesting. So anyhow, um and so I working with mind over matter, working with visualization, and just really feeling and every day that I was cured, and really making that reality more real in my mind than the physical reality. After about 2 to 3 years, it went away and it never came back. So I'll share more of that in another one. So let me see what you guys are commenting here. So this is from Lakeside Laura. Exactly. Yeah. They smacked me pretty quick, but unfortunately, it had negative repercussions on the person that I had an interest in. So that more than anything really was like, okay, no more of that. I mean, like I said, I love doing the ceremonies. I love I love the holidays like Beltane and Samhain and all that stuff. And I like doing healings and clearings and stuff like that. But as far as like doing magic for selfish reasons, that was like I can believe I can say this without my nose growing too long, that was a one and done thing. And there were a couple little falls from grace here and there, but nothing as much as really trying to manipulate somebody's free will to be attracted to me. That was totally wrong. Um, so anyways, I'm just looking at your comments now. Yeah, you can't make anyone fall in love. Yeah, why? Yeah, now the place that I'm in, why the heck would I want to make someone fall in love with me? That would be such an empty relationship. It's like the song that I like by Nectar. Yeah, one of the lines is that you want me. That's the way it always has been. That's the way it has to be. You want me. So basically, yeah, why would I want that now that I know what I know? So genie joke, I don't know what that meant. How he goes, uh, all right. I'll tell you this. Well, for one thing, it never really worked for the first thing. The second thing is, unfortunately, this guy that she was going out with beat the crap out of her, and I found out about that much later on. So to me, that was a huge backfire. I mean, obviously it was her karma also to some degree, but even thinking about it now, even though this is gosh, this is the 90s, 25, 30 years later. But that was the real backfire. Yeah. Personal stories. Thank you. Uh, you're just listening to the Who. I like that. Yeah, the Who came on the radio. Which song came on? I don't remember. It's a Roger Daltrey song. I forgot which one. You're welcome. So anyway, anybody have any questions? Because one of the reasons I want to share my story is that it may remind you of something in your own story. Like I said, I feel like this channel, that the guys prompted me to do this to really help with the awakening, but it's also helping with my awakening. I look at this as we're a community. It's my channel. I do the videos or whatever, but we're all part of this basically. See, new comments. It says there's new comments. So Friedrich Ludwig is asking, do you have any astral projection? Not really, but I could like go places and see what people were doing. I guess, well, that's more remote viewing, but no, I never really had astral projection. I think the reason for that is that when I was 4 years old and I had pneumonia, I got pneumonia a lot when I was a kid. I mean, eczema was only one of many, many problems that I had. Um, they put me on codeine. This is in the 1960s. They basically they gave children dope. Basically, is what that amounts to. Codeine's an opiate, and then one night, I was lying there, sick with pneumonia, high fever, on codeine. And I remember, this because I remember saying things that are far away look close, in my 4-year-old mind. Why do things that are far away look close? And why do things that are close look far away? So I had this distortion of my perception. And then when I was falling out, I would find myself like on the ceiling, like seeing my body and freaking right the heck out. And like, I got to get back in my body. And with all my will, all my might, I forced myself back in my body. And then it would happen again. And then I would come in. Then it would happen again. And then finally I fell asleep. But I think because of that trauma, I never went out of body. But I've come close. Like I've come to the point where they call it sleep paralysis, but there's a certain type of sleep paralysis where your body just vibrates. And that's like the precursor to actually leaving your body. So I started, at some point, this is when I was living back in the city, in New York City. I started to read Robert Monroe and do some of his meditation. And I got to the point where I could get the shake, but I can never leave my body. So no. All right. So what, Susan, thanks you. Yeah, well, that's the thing, and I never really, would acknowledge being wide awake as a kid, but now that I've awakened further, I started to remember back, before I was 4 years old, and I was seeing spirits, and I'm remembering, I'm hearing my mom in my mind saying, "Are you talking to the people that aren't there again?" She used to call me Bird also. Now I thought that was endearing, but now I kind of get it. So anyway, so Carissa is asking, did you ever see past the veil where vision was overlay on the physical without a substance? Like, oh yeah, yeah. I wasn't always on something. Although, I was smoking a lot of weed, and if when you smoke weed, especially if it's like more than 2 or 3 times a week, you never really fully come down. You're always kind of on it a little bit. You're sort of get used to it. But yeah, totally. Sober. I mean, some of the most profound experiences happened. I mean, part of the like going to the belly of the beast, that happened a little bit later, but I got hooked on heroin. I got, into some really bad drug stuff. I managed to get myself clean because I couldn't, I couldn't be around people, especially kicking heroin. So I just, and there's actually methadone at that point. So I kicked it in my room. It took me 6 weeks to get my first wink of sleep. That's how bad it was. But I was sober, like I didn't do anything for many, many years. And a little later on, I started to dabble with some medicinals, like doing plant ceremonies, doing a little bit of cannabis, but not like I used to do, like all the time or anything like that. So, I mean, mostly I'm sober. Every now and then I'll have a little bit of a vape or something, just help me relax and sleep. Oh, I'm reminding myself that the reason that I got back into it a little bit is because I couldn't sleep, I couldn't eat. This was all part of the Kundalini activation. I'm a skinny person to begin with, so I went down to about 112 pounds or something really freaking ridiculous like that. So I couldn't sleep, I couldn't eat. I finally, it took a lot, but I finally started to go back into using cannabis, and then I could sleep better and I could eat. And I think that really helped me to get over that hump and to get better from that experience. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, so you understand then, Carissa, right? Yeah. Uh, and Susan's talking about, about the Monroe Institute. Uh, yeah. So, again, getting back to the question, yeah, every time I do mediumship, like would never, even if I was, into it the way it used to be, I would never work or do spiritual work, for other people. For myself, yeah, but for other people, I would never, get high or be on anything if I'm going to do that kind of work. Yeah. Uh, so, we Moon Bears asking what others. All right, so what others couldn't eat, could barely sleep, but always shaking, always vibrations in my body. Um, there's a lot of like remembering, a lot of like sweating of palms and all that kind of stuff that was happening as well. But that was the main one, and just feeling like a lot of anxiety, just feeling the energy, just always feeling energy. And again, it was hard to be around people. It's almost like revisiting that whole thing. But I feel like that's really when the true awakening began. The first one was more like a shaking. It's kind of like spirit just kind of, knocked on the door, kind of opened the veil for a second, and just changed the trajectory of my life. So monkey paw thing, harm not. And so Roseanne's reiterating, you just cannot change somebody's feel. Like, I was young, I was stupid. I admit it. I admit it in front of all you guys, um, and I would never do it again. So Mr. Floyd saying he had about a week long of Kundalini. Yeah, it went on for a full year. The symptoms. I wasn't throwing up. I mean, I honestly, I've heard stories that are beyond about Kundalini Awakenings, horror stories. So I don't think mine was that bad. But then again, and I was still maintaining a full schedule. So I was still doing readings. I think with the initial awakening or shaking, that's when I became aware of my psychic abilities. But then when I met Amberell and started studying, that's when it really started to open up. So anyway, what other questions do we have? Um, so other people can understand that too. So that you're not alone. Oh, so that's good. Yeah, that's I mean, yeah, I have these things come up for a reason, and it's kind of like I'll experience things and then I'll teach them. So anything that I teach is from experience. I figure anybody could read a book. I mentioned Joe Dispenza's name a lot here. Anybody can go read Joe Dispenza's books, but if I'm teaching something, it's because I've experienced it. It's like a knowing that I've had. So eventually, she had a spontaneous awakening for a while. I was mildly struck by ground lightning. I've almost been struck by lightning so many times. And then again, one of the things I did as a kid, anytime there's a thunderstorm, I managed to sneak out and go out in the storms. And a couple of times I almost got hit. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you, Susan. I appreciate that. Thank you. It's a medicine, and the distinction that I had to make was back in the day, it was a drug. It was an addictive drug. God forbid if I had no weed, you didn't want to be around me. Now it's a medicine, basically. Once we learn to be present and learn to open the frequencies of the heart, I can feel 100 times better. In fact, I'll even go a step further. One of the experience I had when I went back to smoking the weed has actually brought me down. It didn't make me higher. It actually lowered my vibration, which is exactly what I needed to sleep. So, um, anyways, but yeah, I'm lighting. I'm lighting up. Oh my goodness. All right. So who else has any questions? So, or what questions have I missed from you guys? I'm lighting up. Yeah. I do that a lot. Going back further, okay, we got that. Something. Oh, thank you. Hi, Don. I don't know if I said hi to you, but thanks for coming in. Uh, all right. So, what other new comments are there? Let me show me the new comments. All right. Yeah, like I said, it's a tool in my estimation. It can be used or abused like any other tool. Same thing with things like acid, mushrooms, ayahuasca. They're all they can be spiritual tools. Yeah. And so this is hi, Mikael, welcome, or Mike, Mikael. Um, oh, that's a really good question. Yeah, could I sometimes I get that restless leg thing also. Um, all right, where did that comment go? I can't find that comment. This is show hide. Okay, there we go. Um, okay, the best way to deal with that. I mean, firstly, yeah, it's a process. As I'm asking, if Spirit's saying, well, maybe try to really connect with your legs, like in meditation, really start to talk to your legs. I feel like they're saying that the legs are restless because there's lower back things going on with you. And so I think, when you're in meditation, just, connect with them, really feel like this is one of the things that I love to do and to teach people. Um, and these are more gifts through my all my awakenings. It's really learning how to feel your body. I mean, how many people feel their liver or their skin or kidneys? We just take it for granted, but every organ and every part of our body has a unique feeling and a unique energy and a unique a unique vibration to it. So feel like they're saying, talk to your legs, say calm down. You say it's okay to calm down. It's like you're not in fight or flight mode. You don't have to run from anything. I think you just have to keep telling your legs and telling your child self that you don't have to run away. You're safe. Keep telling yourself, I am safe. I am safe. Spirit protects me. The one who created you will take care of you always, even if you do have to go through some physical hardship to get there. But that's what I'm hearing about that question. Yeah. Uh, uh, oh yeah. A lot of dreams that come true. Yeah, I meet people, in the astral sometimes, and have conversation every now and then. They have the same dream, which is very cool when that happens. So yeah, I've had a lot of stuff come through dream, very real. Yeah, when I was, that time I spent in the county jail, I was very intuitive because I had to be. I guess it was part of my training. Not, obviously it's jail. Not everybody's nice there, and I swear, like I would have a dream about somebody just losing it and going amok, and 2 days later it would happen. So yeah, that would be a good suggestion for the legs. Thank you. Yeah, we should not ignore the tangible, like nutrition. Thanks for reminding me, Mr. Floyd. Yes. Yeah, make sure you're getting your trace minerals and everything like that. Um, let me see, what's this one? What's my suggestion? Well, I mean, I love Kundalini Yoga. Remember though, if you study that, focus on the message, not the messenger. Because a lot of people get turned off when they find out about some of the stuff that Yogi Bhajan, who brought Kundalini Yoga to the States, um, and that he channeled through Ram Dass. That's with one. That's not the Ram Dass, the author Ram Dass, but the Sikh and the bringer, the inventor of Kundalini Yoga. So doing that could be really helpful. And one of the really cool stories I like about Yogi Bhajan. He went to Woodstock, and he was working with the hippies. He was telling these kids, like, you don't need to do a drug to get visions and to get high. Do this yoga instead. So I really love that about him. But but the other thing, work with that lower triangle, because the Kundalini energy, I mean, it's always there. It's always active to some level. And when we have an awakening, it travels up the central meridian, up the three nadis in the central meridian. And then it's supposed to come into the third eye and the crown. Now with me, before I cleared this energy, it would get stuck in my solar plexus. That's why it was so freaking painful that I had to stop meditating. But I feel like they're saying just gentle breathing. I don't think you have to do a whole lot. And just to keep saying I am safe, and calling on your guides, and inhale from your root, exhale from your root, and maybe just kind of gradually visualize the energy traveling up and activating your sacral chakra, activating your do the Om. That's a great way to work with this. Om. In the initial you start at the root and you spiral the energy up, and by the time you're at that last it kind of spirals out of the head. But meditation, presence, and breathing, all that's important. Yes. Okay. So see, what other questions do we have? So Colin's saying, with lupus, yeah. Oh, geez. I'm so sorry for her. You have prayers and blessings to your daughter. I just did a reading today with somebody with lupus. She just came back in her body a few months. Well, welcome back, Suzette. Love having you. Here's a nice suggestion. I do wooden scraper for my leg energy. It happens when I can't get out and move with the movement I'm used to. Energy builds up there online for like $6. I think that's a worthwhile investment. Yeah. Oh my goodness. So you've really been through the ringer with that. Well, speaking of hockey players, I've been thinking about Rory Drury a lot. For people that are Rangers fans, that's Chris Drury's wife, who I used to do readings for in Westchester. I feel like Spears. Well, she caught wind that you're a Ranger fan and went to another psychic. Yeah, that's what they're telling me. All right. Let me see. What else are you guys saying? Ranger here. Just people just asking. Somebody's asking if you got the wooden scraper on Amazon. Horribly, she's better now. All right. You know what? I think this has been a lovely hangout. It feels like we're kind of winding down. So hopefully, the stuff that we're mentioning and sharing here is going to, gives you a little bit more insight and is helpful for you guys. And as you continue in your awakening process, there's more awakening to happen. There's different levels. When we have an awakening, to me, it's a quantum leap in a way, just like electrons leap from one valence to another, or one energy rung, or whatever it's called. It's been a while since I studied chemistry. That's where the term quantum leap came from. So when we're on a spiritual path, generally speaking, we'll stay at a similar level for a good while. It's not like a gentle slope upwards in consciousness. We kind of stay at a level, then we have an awakening, or something happened, we go to the next level, then we assimilate that, we process, we grow into our new bodies, so to speak. Sometimes we have ascension symptoms. A lot of the stuff that I teach here on the channel is really geared to help you guys reduce your ascension symptoms. I didn't include the part about channeling with the master teachers as part of my awakening, another step in the awakening. But when they're doing the energy work with us, they're really helping to not only accelerate our awakening and build, but they're building our energy fields and building our physical lattice, so to speak, and our energetic lattice, so that as we come into higher and higher frequencies, we don't have to suffer so much with the ascension symptoms. All those are is the growing pains or the changes in the body, changes in the psyche, you know, and so important to do your shadow work. That's when that guide, when John came through that time and told me I've gone as far as I can go, I've got to go back into the earth. He was talking about shadow work. Spirituality can be used as a tool for avoidance. I've done that, and the ego will very often kind of clouds things and takes over in a way. So I'm kind of like this 20, 21-year-old kid. Oh, I'm enlightened, I'm awakened. I can, with my mind, I can make the winds blow. Well, I wasn't making the winds blow. I was just connecting to the elements. All this stuff was happening. But in the meantime, it's like I was not grounded. I was kind of like some accident waiting to happen, basically. So so it's kind of like we have to do the work from the ground up, and that's basically you have to go back to the earth. I had to build my root, I had to build my sacral, build my solar plexus, because that's where the blockages were, and then start to develop my upper chakras from there, basically. Yeah. Let me see what else. All right, so you guys are sharing a lot of stuff. Gosh, I don't think I'm on Zoom tonight at 7. Am I? Wait a second. Was today supposed to be our today? Yes, thank you. Oh my goodness. Speaking of things, I'm not sleeping so great, but yes, thanks for reminding me. I probably would have packed up and gone home and forgotten all about Zoom. So you know what I'm gonna do right now? We're gonna end. I'm gonna shoot over the to Spirit Mind family. I'm gonna shoot over the login info, so for you guys to have. So sorry about that. I meant to do that much earlier today, but I got caught up with a lot of stuff. Yeah, it is Thursday. Oh gosh. Okay. Thank you for reminding me. We are definitely going to end now, because in 10 minutes we're going to be on Zoom for those of you in the what is it called? The higher mind, tier or the advanced mind tier, Spirit Mind family. So I'm going to shoot that over. So thank you, everybody. We'll see those of you that get this. We'll see you guys at 7. I love you. Bye.